How many of you have ever seen a magazine cover of maybe a famous celebrity and thought, whoa, that girl is absolutely gorgeous? Anyway, I think we have a lot of pretty celebrities. Anyways, I think a lot of people in our society have had that moment where they see someone, maybe on a billboard or a magazine, and just think, wow, I want to be like them because they look perfect. A statistic from an editor of Vogue who recently was interviewed, and he said that he would estimate about 99.9% of images in media, magazines, and online are photoshopped. That means that pretty much none of the images we see are real. Parts of them are real, but none of them actually portray reality. It's all edited. In addition to that, in a study conducted last year, many women and girls said that they compare themselves to images they see, even if it's subconsciously. And I know I, for one, would say the same. Even if I'm not saying I want to be like someone, I might still, in the back of my mind, think, oh, hey, I should work out so I can be a little bit, like muscular or something like that, try to tone up for summer. I think it's a common thing, even if we don't necessarily believe that we are fat. That's kind of the extreme, but I think there's always that part of us that's going to still try to be skinnier, try to be more perfect. But the problem is with the ideals that they're setting up in the photoshopping and the retouching, they're setting this image of perfection that is completely unattainable. If we worked out every day and we ate exactly right, we might get close. And an editor for one of the Victoria's Secret sites I was researching was saying how most of those people, they're pretty darn in shape and pretty darn thin, but the level of perfection that they raise it to actually is unhealthy to try to achieve and is literally impossible. One of the models for Victoria's Secret, and I quote, said, "I don't look like that. I'm not actually an angel." And for me, that was really powerful, seeing someone who is so idolized being humble enough to say, no, that's not my body necessarily. With all these effects that it has on people, such as lowering self-esteem, causing people to compare, one of the main problems in our society has become eating disorders, depression, teen suicide, bullying based on these ideals. It's even become a problem for models. One of the things they've started having to do is reverse photoshopping because, let's face it, a bunch of ribs sticking out and a super, super skinny model isn't exactly attractive all the time. There's a lot of pictures where, they're smoothing over collarbones that are sticking out. Hip bones are actually look out of proportion because there's no muscle, there's no fat, which is actually required to make people look normal. While the effects of photoshopping can be highly detrimental to our society, I believe that if we educate our society, we can turn it around and make it into something better. An example of how this has been done, or tried to be done recently, is cigarette packs. Recently, their boxes have been modified to have labels that include simple things like "smokers die younger." While this might not actually sway someone who just wants to smoke, it's still educating them, and it's still putting it out there to create maybe somewhat of a balance. A current bill on the Senate floor, current bill would require disclaimers in magazines or ads that would say this image has been retouched, or facts like the example of "smokers die younger," switch for photoshopping. And like I said, while that might not actually dissuade someone from starving themselves, it would put the idea in their mind that this isn't exactly perfection. Celebrities and big companies speaking out against it, I think, is also a big way that we could influence it. ModCloth is a site that I like a lot. But one of the things that they've done in recent years is that they've stopped retouching all models. So a lot of them, while they might not be perfect according to mainstream standards, obviously they're still they still look fine. They're still pretty. They look good in the clothes, and I think it creates a balance because I can see myself maybe easier in the clothes because, I mean, let's face it, I kind of am not a toothpick. And clothes don't really look good on toothpicks half the time. But with that, they've also had a lot of stuff like plus size modeling coming out, which tends to break social standards like that. Another reason I think photoshopping should not be completely banned is because it's also useful in art. And while modeling and photography within modeling is art, there's also a lot of other examples where Photoshop can be used to create some mind-bending images that are totally creative and totally awesome. And I had examples, but the internet didn't work. Anyways, in conclusion, I think Photoshop isn't the problem. I think it's how we see it, and I think it's how we perceive it. And if we can change that and educate our society and those around us, I think that we can turn it into something very useful.
Okay.